que manu mea tango.
Et ego, Aloisio Joseph Cardinalis Rueda Aparicio, spondeo boveo agiuru, sic me Deus adiuvet et ex Santa Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Gregorius Cardinalis Ryś, spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adiuvet et hec sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Mula Stephen Cardinalis Stephen Martin Mula, spendo vevo aciura, sic me Deu advent ad hac Santa Dei Evangelia, qui mani mea tango.
Et ego Joseph Cardinalis Covocano, spondeo boveo adiuro, sic me Deu adiuvet et ec Santa Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Protasius Cardinalis Rugambua, spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adiuvet et hec Sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Sebastian Cardinalis Francis, spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adiuvet et hic Sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Stephen Cardinalis Chao, spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adivove et ac Sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Franciscus Saverius Cardinalis Bustillo, spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adiuvet et ex Sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Americum Cardinalis Aguiar, spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adiuvet et ec Santa Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Carlos Cardinalis Castillo, spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adiuvet et ex Santa Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Vicente Cardinalis Bocalich, spondeo boveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adiuvet et hic Sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Luis Gerardo Cardinalis Cabrera, spondeo boveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adiuvet et ex Santa Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
And as we mentioned before, the conclave is when the cardinals are locked in the Sistine Chapel, and that comes from the Latin phrase cum clave, literally means with a key. And this stemmed from the time when, during the conclave in 1268 in Viterbo, because the papal see had to be moved from Rome due to the overwhelming violence that was taking place in the Eternal City. So the papal see was moved to a small town, Viterbo, right outside of Rome, and it was the longest conclave in history, lasting just about 3 years. And to encourage the cardinals who had taken so long the citizens of Viterbo had locked the cardinals into the palace of the popes in Viterbo and also kept them limited to bread and water to, again, encourage an election, a quicker election, but it still ended up taking until September of 1271, after about 3 years without a pontiff. And it was at that time that Pope Gregory X was elected. And it's from that time that we actually get the beginnings of the modern conclave process that we see today, which actually, the pontiff that was elected during that time, Gregory X, he published an apostolic constitution, Ubi Periculum, with more concrete rules on how the selection of a pope should be carried out. And that's the apostolic constitution that remains the basis of this modern-day process that we are seeing the beginning of now, with these cardinals taking the oath of secrecy.
Et ego Ioannes Paulus, cardinalis vesco, spondeo, vovevo, ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et ex sancta Dei evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Dominicus Josephus cardinalis Mathieu, spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et ex sancta Dei evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Robertus cardinalis Repole, spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et ex sancta Dei evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Baldassare cardinalis Reina, spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et ex sancta Dei evangelii quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Franciscus cardinalis Leo, spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et ex sancta Dei evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Micola cardinalis Bicioc, spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et ex sancta Dei evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Dominicus cardinalis Battaglia, spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et ex sancta Dei evangelia quae manu mea tango.
And now we move on to the order of deacons, including the Cardinal Camerlengo, who had responsibility for the property, the fiscal goods of the patrimony of St. Peter, and has an important role during the papal interregnum, the sede vacante. As we get closer to the last of the cardinals making their oath to faithfully adhere to the rules for the conclave, to fulfill the duties of the Patriarch ministry if they are chosen as Pope, and especially to preserve the secrecy that is involved with the election of the Roman Pontiff. We will approach the point where we will hear the Master of Pontifical Liturgical Ceremonies proclaim the Latin phrase extra omnes, let everyone go out, calling all those who are not cardinal electors to leave the Sistine Chapel. The papal MC will remain within the Sistine Chapel briefly while Cardinal Cantalamessa gives the meditation to the cardinals, according to the Apostolic Constitution Universi Dominici Graecis. And At the conclusion of that meditation, with the papal ceremonier, the papal master of ceremonies, guiding the ceremony, he will then leave the Sistine Chapel. He will ensure that all of the entrances to the Sistine Chapel are closed and secured, a guard is posted, and the cardinals will proceed with the first ballot according to the ceremony. After the papal MC leaves the Sistine Chapel, the cardinal dean, or the person acting on his behalf, having consulted the electors, will immediately invite them to consider any business that they feel must be urgently addressed. And in the absence of any urgent business, or after that has been concluded, the cardinal electors will proceed to the first vote, again according to all the procedures laid out in the Apostolic Constitution Universi Dominici Gregis. And the ceremony indicates finally that the first session of the conclave may be fittingly and appropriately closed by invoking the help of the Virgin Mother of God, Mary Most Holy, with the very ancient and traditional Marian prayer, the hymn Sub Tuum Presidium. We fly to thy protection, O Holy Mother of God. Despise not our petitions in our necessities, but deliver us always from all dangers, O glorious and blessed Virgin.
Ac ego, Emilius Paulus Cardinalis Ceric, spondeo, voveo, ediu acuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et ex sancte Dei Evangelia, que manu meo tango.
Et ego, Christophorus Cardinalis, Pierre, spondeo, voveo, at juro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tengo. Et ego, Angelus Cardinalis Fernandez Artime, spondeo, voveo, ac juro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego, Rolandus Cardinalis Makritskas, spondeo, voveo, ac juro. Sic me Deus adjuvet, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego, Timotheus Cardinalis Radcliffe, spondeo, voveo, ac juro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et ex sancte Dei Evangelii, que manu meo tango.
Et ego, Fabius Cardinalis Baggio, spondeo, voveo, ac juro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et ec sancte Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego, Georgium Cardinalis Cuvacad, spondeo, voveo, ac juro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et ec sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
And George Jacob Cardinal Kovacad, the final cardinal deacon, swears the oath. And we proceed to the closing of
Extra omnes.
We hear those words in Latin where it's means everyone out, signaling when all the non-essential people in the Sistine Chapel are invited to leave and the cardinals can begin their discussions.
So for those of you watching on television, there are a number of notaries who were there in their capacity to formally recognize the beginning of the conclave, and a number of other persons who are in attendance for various reasons. All of them are ordered out of the Sistine Chapel, and as soon as they leave, the doors will be closed, the meditation will be given, the papal MC will leave, and the solemn closing, locking, and guarding of the doors of the conclave will take place, followed by the first vote this evening. And with the exit from the Sistine Chapel, our live coverage of the Cardinal's entrance into conclave for the election of the 267th Pope draws to a close. We do invite you to visit our Vatican News website, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube accounts for continuous coverage of the conclave. On behalf of Vatican Media, we'd like to thank our sound engineer Mario and our audio coordinators and all of our producers, as well as our media partners, EWTN TV, Catholic Faith Network in America, Shalom World Television's Network USA, Luminous Radio, at Madarshan TV, Catholic TV, and Uganda Catholic Television, who help make this broadcast possible.
My name is Kelsey Gussie.
And I'm Christopher Wells. It's been our very great pleasure providing the English commentary and translation of the ceremony of the entrance into the conclave for you.
A very special thank you to all of you for joining us wherever you have been listening or watching. And don't forget to join Chris and our colleague Linda Bordoni again in just a few minutes at 6 p.m. local Rome time for the live commentary as we await the Cardinal's decision, and keep an eye out on the chimney on the Sistine Chapel for either black or white smoke later this evening.
Praise be Jesus Christ. Laudetur Jesus Christus.